Hello viewers, let me quickly introduce myself before proceeding with the training videos for PMI ACP. I am Vinayak Agarwal. I am a PMP, PMI ACP and an ITL certified IT professional with an experience of more than a decade now in the field of business analysis, project management and agile methodologies. In this session, that is module number 2, I will be cultivating you with the communication and soft skill negotiations. A rapid briefing of the topics which I will be covering today for you are communication management, dimensions of communication, communication channel and process, effective communication, agile communication management, levels of listening, agile project communication channels, agile information radiators, that is AIR, and BVC, which is big visible charts, osmotic communication, daily stand-up meetings, emotional intelligence quotient EQ, active listening, adaptive leadership, negotiation strategies, conflict management and 5 levels of conflict along with conflict resolutions, service leadership, team building stages, which is also known as Bruce Tuchman's model, and finally we will end the session with coaching and mentoring techniques.
So for every industry, and either it is a software, non-software, communication is a very important, since the mankind has initiated and started earning money or creating monuments or a project or any stuff. So if we talk about the general statistics, I had presented few graphs. I had taken these from the PMI website. So one is organizations that communicate more effectively have more success in the projects. So you can see that organizations who are into highly effective communication methods, which are marked in blue, are 80%, and which are minimally effective communications in dark blue are only 52%. And similarly, you can see that on the parameter of on-time delivery, again communication helps a lot. In within budget, communication helps a lot, and met definitely the organization goals, again original or the organization goals, both, because both are dependent and interrelated. All are met once we have the perfect communication management in our project. Similarly, on the right side there is a bar graph which is showing that the amount at risk for every project, that is a $1 billion money if you spend. So ineffective communication will lead to $135 million US, and with a non-effective, you will lose your 1 billion, it shrink to 75 million only. And for any project, it is statistically observed, the data is saying that approximately 70% of the management or the manager's time spent into the communication activities. And due to the ineffective communication, the segment of the unsuccessful project is definitely more than the successful ones. So you need to make sure that the communication plan or the communication management, whatsoever approach is taken, you are taking. And I'm discussing this communication management is because in Agile it's saying face-to-face communication. Communicate as early as possible, as soon as possible, and to the direct person to whom that communication is supposed to be for. And also it talks about the Kanban and the task management, in which we have the war rooms and the huge bar graphs or any kind of a projections displayed. So it talks about communication. So Agile, whenever you see Agile, you see any choice in your examination which is more related to the communication, then just opt for the best communication approach. Proceeding further, we have 5 dimensions of communication. If you talk about, one is the timing, on which frequency you are communicating, on timely basis. The second is selection of audience or the recipients. It is a mass level or a individual level, or the virtual or the real platform. The choice of communication medium. The fourth is presentation style and structure. So definitely, if you talk about talk and nothing giving you any pictorial view, definitely you won't understand few things after a certain level of a time, because brain after 12 minutes or 17 minutes it got shrinked and won't accept messages from the vocal communication. So your eyes need to see some visual effects also. That's why a face-to-face communication is more effective. And few of the other dimensions of communication, internal or external, definitely, formal or informal, vertical and horizontal. Vertical and horizontal, I mean, it's either a peer-to-peer communication in which one software engineer or one software developer is communicating with the another one, and the vertical in which the manager is communicating with the downstream or an upstream, his manager or to his subordinates. And the communication can be written or oral, or definitely can be both also, and verbal and non-verbal. This time, suppose I am giving you a visual presentation. It is a verbal communication because I am on a vocal voice. My vocal voice you guys can hear. And communication process is split into two broad categories. One is language and paralanguage. So the restriction of this platform in which I am giving the session is that you can only have the view or the vision, or you can say the feel of my language only, the command over the language. But the paralanguage, which is kind of keenness, proximity sensors, or the tone, or my clothing, my makeup, my style of movements of hands, my facial expressions, you can't see over to them. So these communications are not so effective. If the same presentation I will give you a classroom session, definitely you will understand more and you will have the maximum benefit out of this communication. So these are the prime dimensions of the communication. There is a formula for the communication channel and process. It is n into n-1 divided by 2, which is where n is the team members, the number of team members. Suppose we have a team member of 10, then 10 into 9 divided by 2 is equals to 45 is the total number of communications channels which can be possible. It's just a probability mathematics, nothing else. You don't need to remember it for your Agile examination, but definitely if you are appearing for the PMP or so, definitely you might get one question out of that. And as I said, more than 70% of the project management time is spent over the communication activities. The actual figure is approximately 90%, and 50% of the time is spent on communicating with the team, that is either downstream or the upstream or peer-to-peer. That is a horizontal or a vertical communication. And if we talk about the channel or the process, in fact, then this visual photo will give you a more clear view. We have a source at the one, that is I am the source, you are the receiver at the end, and I am circulating or the cascading this message in via channel of telephonic. So this is the channel here is the communication, for communication is telephone, that is the ultra electromagnetic waves. Source is me, receivers are you, message, but this message is encoded or decoded, not yet. But if the audience or the receivers are suppose Spanish or German, then you can say the same message is encoded, because neither I am a good Spanish or a German speaker, or might be the subsequent my European friends won't understand English as easily as other people in US or Canada can. So this is kind of an encoding or a decoding. I'm just giving you this example to understand the meaning of an encoding and decoding, nothing else. And definitely once the receiver receives the message from the source, that is the final context he received, then he provides the feedback or kind of an acknowledgement that you have received this session, but probably this session might be recorded for you. So in this case, the feedback will be an offline feedback. So this is the communication process, and the channel is just the mathematical formula. Moving further, for effective communication, when everyone is in the world is communicating, but whether they are communicating effectively or not, how can you judge, or how can you whether the message has been received by them or not? So there are further parameters or several segmentations. So if you can see this image, so at the extreme left there is the most effective, and the bottom is the least effective, and this is the communication effectiveness most and the least. And these are the mechanisms in which one can communicate. At the top is face-to-face communication. Definitely, if I will be giving this session to you face-to-face, that will be the most effective way of learning and adapting or gaining the final content which I am going to share with you. The second one is face-to-face are again split into two. One is only the face-to-face conversation, just like you two friends of you communicate. But if a teacher is giving you a face-to-face communication or a coaching with the help and the aids of whiteboards or the blackboards, then it is a sketching environment is also. Then definitely you will learn more. You will adapt. You will acquire the knowledge more. So co-location is kind of a parallelly linked with face-to-face conversation, whether it is a face-to-face conversation without sketching or with sketching. But since nowadays co-location can't be possible in this huge world because of the cross-cultural platforms or the teams we have in our software platforms, the teams are working in India for European clients, or European clients are taking vendor management from US, some similarly like that. So for that, video conferencing is kind of an alternative way for the co-location. Just it won't give you a 100% feel, but definitely you will meet the 95% requirements of face-to-face via video conferencing, and definitely somehow to some extent for phone conversation also. Similarly, down the time you go, you can see email, online conversation, digital snapshot, overview of documentation, video recording, audio recording, and detailed documentation are kind of a least effective when we talk about the face-to-face, which is the most effective way, and that is what all Agile talks about. Talk face-to-face, communicate in a most effective way, which is face-to-face. If face-to-face is not possible, go for video conferencing or teleconferencing or phone conversation. So this is the Agile communication management which I am talking about. The most you can see on a x-axis we have a richness of communication, and on the left panel, that is the y-axis, you can see the communicative effectiveness. So richness and communicative effectiveness are two different things. One is, so you can see at the extreme top right hand side you can see the face-to-face, which is a whiteboard or a face-to-face communication either via video conferencing. All are at the most, that is the hot richness and the most effective communicative mechanisms. And the paperwork at the extreme left bottom is the most accepting, but sometimes you don't have option because emails or paper communication are kind of an low-grade communication which are not so effective. So this is just a view in terms of Agile communication management, the same terminologies which we have just repeated in the earlier slides. Now, this is the levels of listening. The level of listening is generally subdivided into three levels. One is internal listening, the second is focused listening, and the third one is the global listening. I request you, all the members, just spend some time on level 1, 2 and 3 to understand the concept better, because you will definitely find 2 to 3 questions in your ACP examination for the levels of listening. So what do you mean by internal listening? Internal, as the name suggests, it is about your internal. So I am speaking something in a mass audience, but how an individual, my thoughts, my judgments, my feeling, my expertise over to that particular phrase or a word which I am adopting from the originator. So it's from the receiver's internal listening. So it's only talk about me and me. How I am taking this, whether I am interested in this or not, why this person is speaking, why it is talking about Agile, why. It is only me. Just focus on me and relate all your tasks with internal listening, because it is your internal. The second one is the focused listening, in which again it is a me, but you are more focused. You are directly interacting or relating with that person. The person is talking about some sense, so kind of a hardwired connection to other. lose awareness of outside world. So example, in a movie, you kind of a focused listening. You in a movie hall, you are kind of an you relate yourself to that particular character. You take all the inputs from him and understand the story. That will give you focused listening. But the internal listening, which I talked about, is a level 1. Is kind of only me. Why am I attending this movie? Why am I watching this movie? Why? Me. And focused listening, only a hardwired connection. So if suppose you have a one-to-one KT, then it is a kind of a focused listening. That particular guy is talking to you only. But that can be possible in mass communication also. Suppose a teacher is speaking in a class of 50, and out of those 50, might be 30 plus students are into the focused listening, and rest 20 are into the internal segment. The third level is about the global listening. Global listening is the soft focus on other, aware of whole environment, including your intuition. You are relating, you are imagining the world, you are taking whole this concept globally. You are relating the things. You are understanding, you are taking this KT session of communication skills of Agile. You are imagining and relating, kind of in paraphrasing, or you can say in terms, you can relate it with your experience, a kind of a global listening. You make it, you understand the concept, and you relate it to the whole world, whole environment, and including your intuition also, your skills, your understanding, your practical, non-practical awareness, your experience, everything will be count. So we have 3 levels, level 1 internal, level 2 focused, and level 3 global. The communication channels which we have earlier discussed, here I am showing few examples of communication channels. So project planning, release planning, sprint planning, all type of a meeting. And the role of communication is communication the detail of the project, release or the sprint in the Scrum teams. Then we have the product vision statement, an example of an artifact type which communicates the end goal of the project to the project team and in the organization, what is the product vision. Then product roadmap, again an artifact which is a communication for the long-term view of the features that support the product vision and likely to be the part of the project. Then we have the product backlog, in which we have all the requirements backlog in terms of their priorities. Again, it is an artifact, and these are type of a communication channels. So product roadmap, product backlog, release plan, sprint backlog, task board or Kanban, daily Scrum meetings, which is for 15 minutes, face-to-face conversation, sprint reviews, sprint retrospectives at the end of every iteration, meeting notes, which is kind of an MOM meetings, meeting of minutes of meeting, collaborative solution, kind of a brainstorming, whether it is a face-to-face on a whiteboard or on a virtual platform. All these are kind of an examples for the communication. The next topic is Agile Information Radiator, which is a very new word in terms of software industry, is IR. You can remember it via term AIR, Agile Information Radiator. And you can, another name for them is, you can see in your exam, for Big Visible Chart, which is BVC. So what is all about? So as the name suggests, Information Radiator, IR. So radiator is just like any device which radiates either information, light, anything. So a car radiator radiates heat. A mirror radiates your reflection. So what is an information radiator? So radiator which radiates information is information radiator. So a simple example is the project status report, the burn down or a burn up graph, which is giving you the vision how much you have consumed in terms of days or time, and how much you have achieved in terms of product backlog. So it gives you a view, it gives you an information. So this chart is radiating information to you. Similarly, the Kanban boards, which is kind of an work in progress status, can be given by the Kanban. So there are few tasks which are to do, there are which are doing in the stage, Some are completed instead, so not started, in progress, completed. So these can be viewed on a one graph, which is a Kanban board, a kind of an information radiator. Similarly, suppose your manager produces a graph on a weekly basis that on an environment, suppose who have done the maximum coding and the maximum number of requirements are covered. So those graphs gives you a information. So they are the information radiators, or a big visible chart. So information radiator in Agile are most effective form of communication for not just for in the Agile team, but also for the stakeholder outside the team. Because picture speaks more than words, as said by Aristotle. Also, not only they are visually appealing, but also reflect the wealth or health of information in the most simplest way. Moving further, we have osmotic communication. You will find at least 2 to 3 questions in your Agile examination related to osmotic communication. Osmotic communication, the simple example is that suppose in a periphery of 4 to 5 team members, that is suppose in a Bay Area in which 4 or 5 team members, I am speaking to one of my team, a team member, that how this printer is working, I am not able to on this printer, or how to take the printout. Might be to the person to whom I am speaking with is not aware of this printer configuration. But this communication in which I am speaking with, A is speaking to B, A here is me and B is the person to whom I am speaking with. But this communication somehow goes to persons C and D also, because I am communicating in my desk area in where 4 or 5 people are also sitting. So might be C have the answer to my question for which B is not having. So by a process of osmosis, he is understanding my question and giving me answer. So this is what is all osmotic communication. So communication via osmosis process. So in osmotic communication, information related to the Agile project and its development flows not only between sender and receiver, but also to osmosis people. That is the people nearby to that periphery. So example, when 2 Agile team members are discussing about something, the information is overheard by other Agile team member as well. This is osmotic communication where the overhearing, that is the overhearing. I am not speaking to C person. C is overhearing. Agile team member can decide whether to participate into discussion or not. Suppose if C is aware, then definitely he might take part into the discussion and give me the solution that how the printer I will get the printer configured. But suppose he is not aware, he will not take into the part of this communication, and my communication is restricted between A and B only. Similarly, osmotic communication helps Agile team members to collect data related to project development status, technical details, and so on. So this is kind of a good communication practice. Moving further, we have daily stand-up meetings, a kind of an information radiator. This is the concept from the Scrum methodology in Agile. In this, we generally talk about 3 important questions. What work did you complete yesterday? Number 1. What have you planned for today? This is number 2. And are you facing any problems, issues, or impediments to plan your work, which is planned for today? So that is the 3rd one. No other talks are discussing in the stand-up meetings. The next topic is emotional quotient. So emotional intelligence quotient. This is also a crucial topic in terms of ACP examination. I recommend you to focus this topic in more depth so as to understand the terminologies for self, social, and other stuff. So first we talk about the self. Self is self-awareness, which is self-confidence, emotional self-awareness, or an accurate self-assessment. So I can self-assess myself only. I have enough emotional intelligence quotient in my neurons so that I can self-aware myself, which is limited to myself only. But suppose if I need to judge you, I need to go kind of a social awareness, which needs empathy. Empathy is what? Organizational awareness, service orientation, and Sympathy is what when you are hurt and your team, your family member, your spouse or your mother is giving you is sympathy, and empathy is kind of a mutually agreement. The doctors are works empathetically. They don't have sympathy for your disease. They ask you questions to get the symptoms, and they empathize you to prescribe you proper medicine. So this is social empathy, self confidence. The third one is relationship management, which is influence. Your relation between more than two people or two or more than two people. So kind of an inspirational leadership. Your director comes to your office and gives a inspirational speech about motivation, and that is kind of a relationship management. He is going to influence. He is trying to influence all you via his inspirational leadership skills, so that you can build something or kind of an innovation, bring collaboration and teamwork in the team. And the last one is the self-management. And you can see on the y-axis, although this is not a graph, but on the y parameter, there is a recognition and regulation also. So self-management is self-control, which is trustworthiness, adaptability, achievement, drive to succeed, and initiative, along with conscientiousness, which is kind of an acceptance. Moving further, we have active listening. Communication can't be complete unless and until you listen it actively. So to have an effective or an active communication, you should active listen it. So for active listening, few of the parameters or dimensions are clarity, which is clarify, summarize it, paraphrase it, show interest, don't neglect from the receiver, originator, show interest, listen for feelings, signal encouragement, show your yes or no movement that you are getting a kind of an acknowledgement, that is signal encouragement, that gives the originator more kind of an acceptance criteria, and he will give you more information. Observe non-verbal behavior, use of open and close questioning, avoid prejudice, reflect, probe, and avoid interruption and distractions. No mobile calls, don't interfere in between once the speaker is speaking. Let him speak and complete the phrase, then raise your hand and ask the questions. This is kind of a few dimensions which will help you to have the active listening. The next one is adaptive leadership, which is the prime concept of the Agile methodology. But before talking about the adaptive leadership, let's talk about the core leadership first. So core leadership have strategy, action, and result. So in strategy we have the vision, planning, courage to the lead, and in action we have the decision making, communication, mobilizing others, and results we will have the risk taking or the results focusing the agility. This is kind of a core leadership. It is the standard leadership practice which is generally you can see in any of the traditional following software or a non-software industry, in which there is a strategy, corresponding action, and ultimately have some results. But in adaptive leadership, it is a blend of emotional intelligence, organizational justice, character, and development. So you are not neglecting these prime factors, which is number one, if you talk about the emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management, which we have just discussed in this slide in EQ. Then we have the organizational justice, which is decision fairness, that is fairness to the decision, information sharing, that is information radiators, and outcome concern, discuss the outcomes and share it with the team. That is kind of a retrospective. If you don't have some the concern, you are not taking their concerns in one iteration, try to make them into the iteration 2 or 3 or as per the convenience of every team member. Character is integrity. You have the credibility for that particular team member or the developer who is working. So don't challenge his integrity, credibility, and values difference. If some have geographically different, someone kind of people who understand German and someone who don't understand German. Don't make fun of them. It's like you also not a perfect in every language. So just value the differences. And the fourth category is the development, which is lifelong learning and developing others. Don't restrict your team to learn in terms of project only. Give them platform or a vision or a space so that they can learn throughout their life and develop as an individual rather than a productive equipment for your project. So this is all about the adaptive leadership. Then we have the negotiation strategies. Again, this is a concept in the PMP also and the Agile certification examination. So negotiation, there are 5 strategies to negotiate. Number 1 is collaboration, which is kind of a win-win situation in which both the parties, party A and party B, both collaborate and both win. It's kind of a mutual collaboration. Then we have a compromise, which is a subsequent lower level to the collaboration, in which sometimes I win, but sometimes I lose, a kind of a compromise between 2 team members or a 2 parties, A or B. And accommodation is you win, but I lose. Somehow I accommodate. Example, I want to give you this session telephonically, but you all guys want it face to face. But since the majority of you convinced me to give a session face to face, so I have to be physically present with you guys. So but I'm not happy to travel. So this is, I'm accommodating myself to your needs. So you win, but I somehow lose. So this is kind of an accommodation. Avoidance, I don't care. I don't listen to you. I am giving this session via telephonic only. You have to attend it, you attend it, otherwise it's your choice, it's your life. So this is kind of, I don't care. I am avoiding this thing. And compromise, it is, you are saying that the parcel ship, that when I request you to have module 1 as in face-to-face and module 1 via telephonic. So kind of a, sometimes I win, sometimes you lose. And win-win in which both win. Suppose I equally want to have the session face-to-face. Then it is a collaboration. And competition, I win, you lose. So it's again similar to avoidance, but not actually equal to avoidance. Competition in which I win, but you lose. So I am giving this session via this telephonic medium. I request you try to attend this session via telephone only, because face-to-face is not possible. I am giving a proper justification to my facts. So this is a competitive. So all these are the negotiation strategies. In terms of cooperativeness is a parameter in x-axis and assertiveness at the y-axis. So you can see the win-win situation is the collaboration. So always try to negotiate via collaborative as your strategy. Avoid avoidance. Now the next topic is conflict. What is conflict? When 2 team members tastes don't match with each other and they argue and they are not happy with each other is a kind of a conflict. So there are many causes of conflict at workplace. I am just taking the example of workplace. So communication gap, lack of understanding, clash of egos, unclear objectives, frustrations, lack of trust, lack of collaborative environment, and indecisiveness. So all these are the few of the conflict causes in workplace. Then how to categorize these conflicts? Because one conflict, how you can judge whether this conflict is a crucial or not. So there are the 5 levels in that. At the 0th level, it is the depression, which we are not going to discuss because it is not important for examination perspective and neither in terms of agile. The first one is a problem to solve. This is the lowest level. Then the second level is the disagreement. I disagree with you. The third one is a contest, kind of an competitive approach. The fourth is fight or flight. So either I am fighting with you or flight. I am taking a withdrawal and I don't want to see you. And the third one is, the fifth one is intractable situation, that is the world war. I declare world war, I can't work with you. In that case, manager needs to segregate partner A and B from the team. Either he needs to release partner B or partner A. This is the toughest situation for a management in terms of handling conflict, because level 5 is too tough. Problem 1, the level 1 problem to solve, the manager try to solve the problem. Kind of a second one is a disagreement, third is a contest, fourth is fight or flight, withdraw, and the fifth is the world war. The next slide is conflict resolution management. This is again more or similar to the negotiation strategies which we have discussed 2 slides back. So to have the resolution for the conflict, the best is the compromising, negotiating, or the collaborating, which is a mutual problem solving. Definitely try to avoid or withdraw. Accommodate, which is self-sacrificing, and competing, which is fighting. So if you see on y-axis we have assertiveness at the top, and on the x-axis we have the cooperativeness as a dimension. So collaborating is the best approach. But sometimes managers, it depends on the manager and the situation and the project demands and needs, that the manager choose which resolution for the conflict. All are acceptable, but definitely the best one are collaborating and competing and compromising too. In Agile we don't have the hierarchy mechanism. That is, we don't have senior manager, then we have a manager, leader, and then we have the subsequent senior software engineers and software engineers. Agile says everyone is equal. So project manager role is not to allocate or assign work to his lower level. So he is not a person who is allocating work. He is not a the work allocation manager. He is just a servant leadership. He is a leader, but he is a servant for the team. Servant as in terms, to show the value to people, to develop people, then build community, then display the authenticity and provide leadership, and also to share the leadership. All these are the factors which the servant leadership model shows. So few of the parameters are foresight, vision, transformation, awareness, empathy, persuasion, listening, team development, building community. All these are the parameters which a servant leadership focuses on in terms while handling or managing the agile teams. Then,
so moving on to the next slide, we have the team building stages, also known as the Tuchman's model. So as per Tuchman model, there are 5 stages in a team. One is forming, then we have storming, then norming, then performing, and finally adjourning. So if you see the graph, on x-axis we have a time, and on y-axis we have a team effectiveness. So starting from the forming stage till the adjourning stage, the team is more effective and during the course of time. So what exactly forming is? Forming is all the team members are disaligned. So you can say the basic ground rules, formalities are preserved and members are treated as strangers. The next term is storming. Here members starts to communicate their feelings but still view themselves as individuals rather than the part of the team. They resist control by group leaders and show hospitality. So it's kind of they have a common goal but still they are getting acquainted with each other. In the next stage we have the norming. Here people feel part of the team and realize that they can achieve work if they accept other viewpoints. So they kind of help each other. They have a common vision, common focus. So it's a kind of a norming stage. The next one is the performing, in which the actual team is performing and giving an output to the manager or the company or the organization. So the team works in an open and trusting atmosphere where flexibility is the key and hierarchy is of little importance. And finally, the adjourning stage, in which the team members got released from the project and moved to the different assignments. And they celebrate their accomplishment or the success win. Last slide for today. In this we have coaching and mentoring as a topic. So Agile focuses on mentoring most. If you see the left hand image in the slide, so we have coaching as a process focus and training as a content focus. So training generally gives you instructions, open and sharing platform. While coaching is what about listening, asking why, exploring why, private and it's confidential. And coaches help people to set and reach better quality goals, break out of their comfort zone, focus and expedite results, and finally unleash potential and creativity, and which leads to innovation. But what exactly Agile focuses on? Apart from coaching and training, we have to do a blend of both and come up with a new style of working, which is mentoring, which is a judicious mix of process and content. So if we talk about a quick differentiating terminologies for coaching and mentoring are, so coaching includes helping, supporting, caring and concern, working with developing, investing, inspiring, assisting, partnership, co-performance, and finally casual relationship. While mentoring more focuses on guiding, encouraging, protecting. Manager works for employee, challenging, advising, sponsoring, supporting, role model, confident and provide exposure. So Agile team or in Agile methodologies, what is more focused is mentoring. Though coaching is also important, but mentoring plays a better role, which is a kind of a servant leadership role. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck. Bye bye.